Brian Christopher came down to the ring. And he's like, my dad was never there for me. I'm not sure. He's done a couple of these promos during these shows, so they kind of blended together.
This wasn't the big one.
But he's just like, I hate my dad, so I'm going to use the Lawler name now as independence, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works. That you're going to own your dad by using his name instead of using Christopher. I don't know.
The theory was, I'm going to take the name and I'm going to surpass his with mine. I'm going to make him Brian Lawler's dad instead of me being Jerry Lawler's son.
Yeah, you tell him.
Which would, the most frustrating bit about this is like it's never going to pay off. It's never going to, like, the match that comes from this is Lawler Brian, and that's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I think Jerry Jarrett complains about in his book, that he's just like, Vince Russo and Jerry's, I actually think this is a quote about the second promo as opposed to the first one, the one on the pay-per-view number 5. But he's just like, this match can't happen. Why are we doing this? And also Jerry Lawler called him to complain about the interview.
Is it because his son called him a pedophile on pay-per-view?
Yeah, I'd imagine that probably contributed to it, because that was in the second one. He did a few of these where he's just like, I left my dad a ticket and he didn't show up because, what was the exact line? Because
I could tell you what it was. It was because he's too busy on Wednesdays hanging out at high schoolers with candy. And then Ed Ferrara goes, what kind?
Yeah, so that's the Brian Lawler stuff going on in these shows.
Yeah, it's like it's interesting to watch a breakdown like this, but again, there's no payoff to it.
Yeah, you can never do the Brian Lawler against Jerry Lawler match.
And like, to be fair, like, Brian is getting some really good heat off of this.
The crowd are super into chanting Jerry's kid, yeah.
Yeah, and there's nowhere for it to go, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, because who knows, like, if Jerry was in this company, how it would all go.
Yeah, that would be an interesting match. I'm surprised, like, Jerry never showed up in TNA. That feels like a guy they would have went after at one stage.
Well, it's because, like, for what it's worth, he is a Vince guy more than anyone else there. Like, it's just that he's a lifer,
Yeah, Jerry wasn't pleased about his son calling him a pedophile on national pay-per-view.
I like how he did the line about, like, my father had 3 wives that were all younger than me, and the announcers were like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, no, he means then his current age, you morons.
Yeah, but they were doing the math. It's like, wait a minute, how can you be, know?
But like, Ed Ferrara should have been there to be like, I understand this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on, guys, get your fucking heads on straight.
Yeah, he was just also like, no, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about, Brian? After we talk about our main event in which Brian Lawler lost to Scott Hall. What was the result of that match? He lost, right? So Scott Hall defeated Brian Lawler after Lawler did a long promo.
To be fair, it built to a perfect end,
but
because it was so long.
I even disagree with that though, because like the moment where he had his back turned, he was talking to the audience and Hall was there, was all fine, but he kept going for like a minute while Scott Hall was standing behind him.
But the payoff was so good. The payoff was so good because people were even at the point where they're doing the turning around symbol and he's sitting there like, what the hell does that mean? And then gets that, and Hall, throws an amazing punch, obviously. So that first cut off and that big punch, crowd goes nuts for it.
But that legitimately, that's a thought I had because the Jarrett match on the last show as well. It's like Scott Hall's punches are so good.
Yeah, he's like historically a great punch guy.
To be fair, the people taking his punches have great snap and it looks great. It was a good spot. You could have spent less time talking to get there.
Oh, classic millennial attitude. Can't wait for anything, you need it now. You need it immediately.
Says Mr. Gen Z over here.
Yeah, Gen Z know how to respect things, okay? Give it time. Let it breathe.
So Hall won our main event. Match was quite boring.
I don't remember anything about that match.
No. Like, literally, I couldn't tell you what the finish was. How'd he win? Who knows?
Outsider's edge.
Sure, let's go for it.